People of Kazakhstan, how do you feel about Borat? I saw yesterday in the New York Times that the country's tourism ministry adopted Kazakhstan. Very nice, as their official slogan. I think they tried to fight it with the original Borat. I think there's so much more to be gained by leaning into the joke. That's how my wife is. She was born in Kazakhstan and immigrated to the US when she was about 18. Before Borat, when she told people where she was born, everyone would say, "Oh, where's that?" Now it's always something about Borat. At first, when she heard about the character, she never watched anything with him. I told her about it because I saw him on our Ligi show and I saw the Borat movie. She was sort of offended. Her main complaint was, why pick on Kazakhstan? But like you said, she's since leaned into it. And if she likes you and you ask her about Borat, she'll say it's very nice. She's cool like that. Otherwise she'll just roll her eyes and that's it really. She doesn't really care anymore. Believe it or not, I'm actually married to someone who was born there. And she hates him. Mostly because ever since the first film, when she tells people where she's from, they inevitably bring up Borat. Her thing is, why, out of all the countries in the world, would he pick Kazakhstan to make fun of? It's kind of a pain in the ass. Used to be whenever she told people where she's from, they'd always say, "Where's that?" Now it's, "So, what do you think of Borat?" or something. She's never seen anything with him, but I watched a couple of seasons of Dara Ligi show, and when I first saw the Borat character I told her about it, and, like I said, she was wondering why Kazakhstan. And when Borat came out, I was in Iraq and a DVD of the movie was floating around the platoon and I watched it. I thought it was pretty funny, but actually knowing someone from Kazakhstan, I can see why they would be offended. Or at the very least not like it. Because Kazakhstan is nothing like the movie portrays. It's not a backwards Eastern European country, it's a backwards Central Asian country. Not a whole lot of tiny villages filled with white Romanians in Kazakhstan. All the white people there, including my wife, are Russian. And they all live in old dilapidated Soviet Union era apartments in medium-sized cities. And the rest of the country is more like Mongolia than Eastern Europe. But my wife has a good sense of humor, and if she likes you and you ask her about Borat and Kazakhstan, she'll say it's very nice. She'll also say moose and squirrel in a thick Russian accent if you ask her, and it's fucking hilarious. But mostly it doesn't really have any effect on her, but I notice she usually tells people she's from Russia more than she's from Kazakhstan. Especially if you look like the kind of person who is going to mention Borat. A famous mobster in Kazakhstan threatened to kill Sacha Baron Cohen, which is probably why they filmed in Romania this time. There was also a small protest in favor of banning the film the other day in front of the US Embassy in Almaty. He filmed in Romania the last time though. Kazakhstan wasn't impoverished looking enough. My friend was from Kazakhstan and moved to the UK when he was about 16. He would get absolutely furious if you did the inevitable impression, like pure, seething rage. Ex-girlfriend was from Kyrgyzstan. Americans don't know the difference. She didn't really care. Thought it was odd they filmed a gypsy town in Romania as a backdrop for Central Asia. I think her biggest pet peeve was the use of the Cyrillic lettering in the marketing of the film. For example, the A in Borat is a D, etc. Not from Kazakhstan, but I grew up in a country that also uses Cyrillic letters. I hate the Borat movies just because of that. My brain literally reads the letters, English and Cyrillic, at the same time, and it takes me a second to understand what I'm looking at. For example, the movie poster spells Borat as Bort. The A is actually a D sound. So my brain reads it, phonetically, as Bort, and I have to basically mute the Cyrillic part of my brain to read it as intended. A friend of a friend was a missionary in Kazakhstan. They said people there liked that it made them famous and recognized them as a country, but they didn't like being portrayed as backwards and stupid. To be fair, the second Borat also portrays America as particularly stupid, and we deserve it. I mean, the first one does too, but this new one makes us look way worse. I mean, that was the point of the original too. It was using Kazakhstan to mock the US. Parents were born in Kazakhstan, and I lived there for half my childhood. I never really paid attention to Borat and haven't watched the movie besides seeing a few clips of the trailer here and there. But the few times that I do mention to new friends or acquaintances that I am from Kazakhstan, I get the occasional Borat mention. I personally always shut it down right away. I don't let it get past them naming the movie, but also since I didn't watch it I can't relate to any of the jokes they mention. Sometimes I'll chuckle and say yeah, that's Kazakhstan, but most of the time the conversation doesn't last more than a couple of seconds. Nowadays I see that Borat is putting KZ on the map. Before Borat, when I'd say I'm from Kazakhstan, a lot of people would have a puzzled look on their face, and I would have to explain its geographic location. All in all, the movie portrays Kazakhstan as a shithole with retarded people, which would offend anyone, to be honest, so I don't stand by it. Not all publicity is good publicity. But if those guys over at Kazakhstan Tourism can make something good come out of this, then I'm all for it. How do you feel about the tourist board adopting the very nice catchphrase, "I'm living there"? You know, we are not so bad as we showed in film, and I think everyone in Kazakhstan have to understand that Borat is not the main problem of our country. Wah wah wee wah. Well, I was surprised to see that some media actually acknowledged the existence of this country, but having heard some things I just figured I don't want to watch it. The discussions were enough to see the effect it had on people around me and outside of Kazakhstan. It's a little disheartening that this is probably the only depiction of Kazakhstan in popular media, but whatever, I guess. Not like it causes us any struggles internally. I think people can generally tell if what they're seeing is blatantly wrong or being portrayed in a bad light, and if not, or if they're not willing to take me and the country I was born in seriously, then they're just not worth listening to. Wouldn't be blaming a movie for that. I am from Kazakhstan and I can say that most people are offended by Borat movie since it causes so much bullying, especially for Kazakhs who live abroad. When my brother was in Texas, the first thing people said when he mentioned that he was from Kazakhstan was, "Oh Borat, is your sister a prostitute?" Or people were telling him why he was lying, since there's no such country as Kazakhstan, it was a fake country from Borat. And this happens all the time. It is easier not to mention your origin, to avoid such stupid comments. It is xenophobic towards ethical minorities. 70% of people in Kazakhstan are Muslims and such vulgar representation is not funny. I understand that educated people would not say such things, so I personally try not to care. One of my best friends grew up in Kazakhstan and moved to the US in middle school, and his take is that he could always tell he's making fun of you guys, Americans, not us. Can't say I disagree. Exactly. How are people not seeing that? Lol, I just watched Angry Joe YouTuber review of the new movie and he said Kazakhstan is a fictional country. Everyone very much like Borat but not Nursultan Taliagbi. He is pain in our arseholes. And arseholes is Uzbekistan. Their potassium is inferior and the country is run by little girls. I stayed at a hotel in Turkmenistan where the bar downstairs was full of prostitutes, cleanest in the region, servicing Iranian truck drivers. I'm Kazakh and all my homies are chill with the movie. Have a good laugh and get over, that's my opinion. Though I do understand why older generations see this as a humiliation towards our nation. Any Kazakhs getting Borat rubbed in their face have an easy comeback, Boris Johnson or Donald Trump. I don't see how anyone can think badly of Kazakhstan because of Borat. It's obviously satire and if anything was to show how stupid us Americans are. The entire time I watched Borat 1 and 2 I was thinking of what a shithole country it is. And I'm not talking about Kazakhstan. Borat was never intended to make fun of Kazakhstan. It was intended to make fun of Americans who could believe that this is an accurate representation of Kazakhstan. The fact that Americans are stupid is what makes them think Borat is portrayed accurately. It great success. They're like, very nice.